Hi, this is Harish here. Welcome to DB2 HADR tutorial part 2. In this video tutorial, I'm going to talk about how a change in log chain ID in primary is replicated to the standby on the fly. The scripts and the data files are available for free download in db2 academy.blogspot.in. This slide talks about the problem scenario and the tip that I am providing in this tutorial. The problem scenario is we want to demonstrate how a change in log chain ID in the primary is replicated to the standby in a HADR setup on the fly. So there is no need to deactivate or reinitialize standby. So by reinitialize, I mean taking a backup of the primary and then restoring it on the standby like that. So the reinitialization is not required, and also there is no need to deactivate the standby can be up and running, and on the fly the log chain ID change will be replicated to the standby. So that is what I wanted to share as a tip. Now the log chain ID changes, usually it changes as far as I know when you do a point in time snapshot or point in time restore of the database from an older backup, or you can also, if you have implemented snapshot restore like the file system level or OS level snapshot restore, so if you are doing that and you're using the inidb command to initialize the database, so in that case also the log chain ID will change. And also log chain ID changes if you do an end of logs restore in the primary. So for example, if you take a primary database and it is up and running, so you deactivate the primary, restore from a backup image, and you typically roll forward it to end of logs. So even if you do that, the log chain ID changes. Now I'm not suggesting to use restore instead of takeover. So if for some reason if your primary is getting crashed, you will always tend to go to the takeover, because that's why you implemented HADR in the first place. So I am not at all suggesting you to use restore as a recovery strategy for the primary. So I'm not telling that. Always you can do the takeover, which is the most preferred or most suggested way. So what I'm saying here is, if for some reason the primary is crashed and you, for some other or whatever reason, you want to do, like the client is okay with the downtime, or snapshot restores are usually faster than a typical DB2 restore. So if you want, if the client wants, the downtime is okay, or they want to do the snapshot restore, which is a very quick, and they feel that you don't need to even take over, the downtime is okay like that. So if you end up in a situation like that, so the question that came to my mind was, since we are doing either a point in time restore or a snapshot restore or even end of logs restore on the primary, so if we restore the primary from an old copy and roll forward, so should I reinitialize my standby as well? So that is the question that I'm trying to answer here. So that involves a log chain ID change in the primary. So if you initiate a recovery on the primary, there is no need to reinitialize standby. The condition being that the primary should be ahead of the standby. So if you are, in terms of log file replay, you can see that the standby will be catching up with the primary, and once they enter the peer state, you should see that they are more or less in the same log files, right? So that's what I mean. So if you are, even you can deactivate the primary, restore from an old copy, and roll forward and do end of logs, and start the HADR on the primary again. But as long as you are ahead in terms of the log files, in the primary side, the standby can be just activated, remain activated, and it will eventually catch up. It will go through that log chain ID change without even deactivation. I'll just give you a demonstration of that behavior. Okay, so let's okay. So I have, as usual, let's get into an example scenario. Let me close this. So here I have two systems like virtual machine to simulate the HADR. So one is obviously going to be my standby system. So let me log into the standby. Okay, so this is my standby system, and here the database and HADR is a database. It's all set up. So I'm going to just activate the database HADR. Okay, the database name itself is HADR. So it's all set up. So no, I'm not going to demonstrate the setup, but it's all set up. So activated complete, and you can see in the logs like, okay, so the log chain ID, this is the thing that I was telling. So the log chain ID is 4, right? So the current log chain ID of the standby, sorry, the current log chain ID of the standby activated is 4. Okay, so how do I say it's a standby? So HADR, I'll even show you that, so you can see that standby fiscal. Okay, so standby database, when I start, it is in log chain ID 4. Okay, let's go and start the primary. So this is my primary machine. Okay, another virtual machine. So I have used that as primary. So I'll note it down here. So standby logchain ID was 4, and primary logchain ID is also 4. So I'm going to show that to you. Okay. So we'll note down the primary logchain ID. For that, I'll have to activate. Okay, activate DB HADR. So this is the primary side. Uh, so let it get activated. It should also be in large in 84. That's the idea. Okay, that's our initial condition. Okay, you should be able to see that the large in 80 is 4. Okay, and it is a primary system, like primary. Okay, so we are all this is how the system is currently now. So what I'm going to do is connect to the HDR database, run few transactions here and there. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is the 1500.sql. It just creates some table and run some transactions in that. So let's just quickly do that. And let us note down the rows just for the completion. Okay, 28,500 rows. Okay, so delete. 28,500 rows are there. Now I'm going to take an online backup in another terminal. So file. Okay, not here. I have to go to terminal, file, open tab. Okay, let's do db2 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 backup db name HADR online. So I'm going to take that backup, and I'm going to note the timestamp of that. Okay, it's going to take a while. Okay, the data. Okay, copy that timestamp and paste that here. Then after that, I'm going to run few more transactions. Okay, on to the existing connection. So I'm just running few more transactions. So at the end of this activity, we and 31,500. Okay. Okay. So now all set. Now I'm going to note down the standby log chain ID. It should still be at number 4. Okay. So that's our initial condition. It should still be at number 4. So let's go to the standby machine. Okay, this is standby machine. Logs. It is still in large chain ID 4. Okay. Let's go to the primary. Okay. So I'm going to deactivate my primary and restore the copy of restore the backup image. So I'm just assuming something happened, and the only way out of this is going to be a restore. So I'm just going to do that. So restore, roll forward to end of logs and complete, and start HADR as primary and connect and take the count. So the count should be 31,500. Connect reset. So before that, so I'll show you the, okay, so let's do that, and you should be able to see the log chain ID changing to number 5. Okay, let's do that. Okay, restore completed. Roll forward. End of log is incomplete and start primary. And connect to HADR. Everything I'll do. Okay. Okay. So the log chain ID should change to 5 actually. So, and 31,500 records should be there. Yes, so 31,500 records are there. And log chain ID, what happened to log chain ID? It should be 5 now, right? You can see that the log chain ID got changed to 5 on the primary side. So the log chain ID from 4, it got changed to 5. So when such a change occurs, the in the primary the change has occurred 5. Okay, standby also the log chain would have changed. So I'll show that to you. So that is the whole point. So and we did not deactivate database itself. So DB2 list active databases. It's still active, and log chain ID automatically changed to 5. From 4 it became 5, and we did not do any deactivation activation explicitly. And you can see that eventually it will get into peer state. So yeah, so it got into peer state. So even if you do a restore roll forward on the primary, and in this example I have given end of logs, I have given a end of log scenario during the restore. So even if you do a point in time restore, and because of that the log chain ID is changing, doesn't it's okay as long as the you are ahead in terms of the log files in the primary. The standby should always be in the lower number of log files in terms of log replay catch up. So if that condition is met, you can go ahead and do this, and don't worry, don't need to deactivate the standby or don't need to reinitialize the standby with the new primary image like that or something like that, right? So then that is the tip that I wanted to provide you in this video tutorial. Maybe sometimes this might be a trivial information for experts or other people, like maybe at least it was helpful for beginners. Uh, that's it in this video tutorial, and thanks for watching this video. Thanks for clicking on this video. Subscribe to my channel youtube.com/db2 academy. See you in the next video tutorial. Until then, bye bye.